Leave it to not fam, life in God's hands. I shouldn't be here, but the Glock jam. Now I'm playing.
Shots fired dropped.
Shots fired.
Just not too long ago, and you promised that you were going to do the interview, just like laying it all out for us, so we could get a better understanding of the situation, what was going on, and
facts. I don't really talk like that, but I just thought it was cool to say the word
that
facts.
Was hilarious.
Yeah.
That really was.
FAX. Patenting that.
Facts.
It means I got the message received.
Yeah, the message received or saying whatever. So yeah, tell us about the backstory in a sense. Where were you when this happened? Like why? What was going on?
Well, it's interesting because to this day I still have no idea why, but the night it goes, and I'll try to keep it brief, is that I was coming home from choir rehearsal. I was probably about 19 at the time, and I was in a relationship with a sister in a church, and you know, she had children, and I was sort of stepping in as the father figure. Anyway, you know, this was one night after worship. We took the train home. It was like, you know, Brooklyn. What is that area? Prospect area. So anyway, so as we're coming home, she says, "Oh my God, there's a man coming with a gun." And me not wanting to arouse that guy, maybe he didn't know, maybe he thought he was gonna, you know, maybe it was for us, maybe it wasn't for us. But if it was for us, you know, us running would definitely make us, like, you know, more of a, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, all right, they see me, let me speed this up and make it quick.
But you don't want to be a deer in headlights either.
Right. So
okay.
we just picked up our pace, but enough to not, you know, because we were at this point we were close. We were so close. It was like an L. So we were coming down this block, and then our house was like, once you turn the corner, it was across the street. So we basically just picked up, made the turn, because the dude was coming from this way. We were coming up this way, and then all that was left was the turn this way. So anyway, cross the street, open the door. I let her in, you know, I let her in first, and then I closed the door, and I'm like, well, maybe it's not for us, but maybe it's gonna be a shootout or something, so let me lay down. So I laid down in the door. I laid down so I don't get ahead of myself. Basically, there was a small foyer area, so you couldn't just go into the house, open the front door, and you're in the house. You open the front door, and then there's another door.
So it's like a lobby.
But it's so small. It's like, yeah, like a closet almost. Like a closet's worth of space before you have to open another door. And I'm like, well, if we open that other door, then I'm probably gonna get shot standing up. Even if a stray hits, even if it's not for me, maybe there's gonna be a shootout. So I ducked down, had myself in fetal position, and in a few seconds I heard pop, pop. And I had no idea what happened. I mean, I knew that a shot went off. I didn't know what happened, but I put my head to my ears, because my ears were ringing, and you know, I didn't feel anything at all. So then when I pulled back my hands, I looked in my palm, you know, my left palm, there was like a pool of blood, and I looked at her, and I was so surprised. I was like, did I just get shot? And she said nothing. I think she was just dumbfounded at the whole thing.
So her face in shock, and let's pause right here.
Yeah.
Her face was obviously in shock, right?
Yeah.
And you were like trying to make sense of this whole thing.
I mean, what was going through my head is like I still didn't know, because like I see blood, but I don't feel anything. And I think at that point my adrenaline was just so up. I was so charged that you know, and the funny thing is that the guy had to line up the shot, so it was intentional, because I mentioned the door that we went in before, the other door that we had to open up again, right? And on one side there was a window, like a panel of windows, like a narrow panel of windows. So I believe that he looked in. And he saw where I was. Then he came back, and that's when he fired the shots.
So in those moments, obviously, someone called the police or what have you, right? And from here until, let's say, you went to the hospital, where was your faith in that? Like, where was it? Because I know you're just coming from worship.
Yeah.
You're just coming from worship. It's like, I'm doing my good deed. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm walking in the ways of the Lord as much as people can see.
Right.
But inside, what kind of, we have doubts.
Right.
What kind of doubts were you were having? What was going through your mind then? Like, where was your faith then? Like, yo, Lord, you let me get shot or what? Shot or what? Like,
So it's funny that you asked that question, because in that moment that I got shot, I knew in my heart that that there was something, that I was right with God, as much as a person could know. You know what I mean? I know that walks has up and downs in there sometimes where I know that I'm slipping, I'm not as committed as, you know what I mean?
Right.
But at that particular time, like, you know, like me and the Lord were here. And, you know, to give, you know, another interview, I was going through it in that relationship. I was going through it in that relationship. We weren't on the best of terms. Before I got in a relationship with her, I came from a very abusive home, so there was a lot of pain, there was a lot of hurt. That actually drove me to God in the first place. And at this point, I'm like, well, maybe this is it. Like there was part of me that found peace in what happened. I'm like, if I go now, I'm so close that, you know, that I'm good. And you know, and you know, it's something that's almost sad about that. You know what I mean? But you know, it all seemed to happen so fast. I know people joke about the police not coming, but I felt like the police got there crazy quick.
well, you was a little woozy because you was shot.
Maybe because then I did feel the pain.
Yeah.
Then I did feel the pain. At that point, I'm on my back, spinning like clockwise.
Where were the shots?
The shot hit me right underneath the neck. So he shot through the door. The trajectory might have been slowed down. You know what I mean? You know, the speed of it, the velocity, and it basically went from under my left ear to right where my right underarm
You
is.
can still kind of see the scar.
Yeah, the scar. I mean, you know, we'd have to close up on it, but in the previous, you know, I'll post a picture of it.
Yeah.
And the bullet didn't exit, because if it exited, I probably would have bled out.
Correct.
But it traveled through without touching my spine, my organs. You know, nothing was touched. And so people say, you know, oh, you know, where was your faith behind this? So the crazy thing for me is that, you know, as a believer, and not just at this point, I don't think I decided it right then and there, but I decided a while that in the bullets that God, like, why did the bullet hit you if God was with you? And I love that question, because it gives room for the experience of walking with God.
Yeah.
Because in the bullets that God doesn't necessarily allow to miss you, in the bullets that He allows to hit you, is your experience that you can go through the fire and come out unscathed. Like, basically, I was in the hospital 48 hours or less.
And the thing is, you already have a story to tell anyway from your upbringing, and now you get into the actual bullet that could have ended your life from the pain that's been going on. Like, your message in Shots Fired was a message of hope and a message of not truly trying to understand what was going on or why, but it's like, it's because of you I'm able to get through and overcome
absolutely.
this thing. So in that sense, is there any other hidden message that you know, maybe I didn't get, or maybe someone listening to Shots Fired didn't truly understand the brevity of this pinnacle area in your faith with Christ, and then also moving forward just as a human being?
Right. Well, I mean, honestly, you know, it's crazy because a lot of people won't believe this, but I knew that I was up to something good, and I knew that I had been through, you know, I've been through the fire at that point. And so I'm like, that night I'm in my hospital bed and I'm praying for the guy that shot me. And I know that it sounds like, you know, like unbelievable, like, who does that? For me, it was like I know that God loves me. And part of me is feeling sorry for this guy, because he's gonna have to now deal with my father. Here it is that I am a man who have not had a father, stepping up to be a father, and you trying to come in between that, and I'm serving God. You've just really dug a hole for yourself. Jesus said, better is the man that offends one of these little ones in my name. Better that he tied a stone around his neck and threw it in the ocean than to offend one of these little ones. And I consider myself a little one, you know, compared to the big homie Jesus. I'm a little one, and I'm praying for him. I'm like, God, he doesn't know me. he doesn't know that, you know, he doesn't know that I'm raising a daughter that's not mine, 2 of them, and one of them struggles for asthma, and I gotta watch her, you know, every night just about struggle to breathe, coughing until she vomits, and I'm there like it's mine. Like he has no reference for what's going on. So his ignorance, forgive him, Father, for he knew not what he did. You know, and that was my, and I'm fine. I'm fine. At this point, there's been no loss of body, you know, body functions. There's been no loss of consciousness. I stayed awake. I was hoping that I'd black out, because that pain got intense. You know what I mean? It felt like a hot poker went like diagonally through my back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So they didn't let you keep the bullet out of it.
They didn't let me keep it. I was just telling my wife yesterday.
So like, yeah, you could have put it on the chain and be like, yeah, chain gang.
You know what I mean? Let it sling. You know? But they were like, it's evidence. It's evidence. And the funny thing is, they didn't even take the bullet out right then and there. They were like, you gotta let the swelling go down, because you could have felt it underneath, because it was red. But when they went in there, they realized that that the skin had raised up, that the tissue had raised up, and what you felt wasn't even a bullet, it was the tissue. And they were like, if we knew it was that deep, we'd have left it in you. So they
were going through metal detector.
Right.
Like,
right.
Sir, you have a bullet.
I'd be the first one to know it was raining. You know what I mean? But yeah, so they took it out. You know.
And then I know you probably never gotten this question before. We're in an age now where there's all these NRA and let's have the gun laws, let's have this, let's have that.
Yeah.
And then speaking back to, like, just thinking back to your experience with gun violence and what they're supposed to fix, what's going on. I believe whatever happens in a specific order, just because God has an order of how he wants to do things and how he gets the glory.
Right.
Does he necessarily want things to happen back to his children? No. But
we live in a broken world.
Exactly. You going through that experience as a person who's been a victim of gun violence, and now everyone's trying to speak out against gun violence, so say with the Art of Healing that we've done for like many years now, like 2 years now.
Yeah. And shout out to Thrive Collective. Shout out to George Emilio Sanchez.
And then also the guns up, you know, like guns down, life up, or life up, guns down. I probably said it backwards. Or stop the violence. And there's so many movements now. What do you think those movements are missing? What are they missing? Just from your experience alone of what's, because obviously the crime keeps rising, keeps getting larger. But what exactly is the pinnacle movement of what is missing in these movements?
I mean, I don't. That is a good question, and I wouldn't say that I don't know that much is missing, but I did say in the song, if we were going to talk, you know, I did sort of like a small sort of testimony about my experience at the end of Shots Fired, and I do believe what is missing in general on the whole is love in the heart of humanity. You know, I think, like, literally that is everything. I think that there has actually been more emphasis on gun control and less emphasis on mental stability. Because I feel like a lot of these people, you know, you don't just wake up and decide that you're gonna pick off school children. You know what I mean? Not if you're an emotionally right person, not if you're a spiritually healthy person, not if you're, you know, a normal, you know, like I just don't think that you know, and I believe that that yes, there needs to be gun control, absolutely. You know what I mean? That is not to say that you know, that if I am a homeowner, or, you know, like an apartment owner, whatever, you know what I mean, like, you know, if I go through the proper channels, you know, and I need to protect my family, and I'm obviously, you know, take the measures to make sure that it's safe, it's my constitutional right. You know, I believe that there's an extent. I also don't believe that I need, you know, an assault rifle. You know what I mean? Like, I you know, I believe in such as much as should be available to me to be able to defend my family. I believe in that.
Well, in the olden days, the Lord gave them charge to defend their family. The Lord gave them charge to defend their nation. Right. You know, but the first thing they've always done was consult with the Lord first before they went out and took over anything else. Right. Before they went out and retaliated.
Not even for anything. Yeah. Like, God told them what to do. They didn't even, you know, it was more of like a command than a conversation.
Exactly. It was. So my thing is, us as humans, we are taking it upon ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of this is not even like it's just mental illness. You know, it's mental illness. You know, I think we're ignoring signs. You know, we think about Adam Lanza, the kid who shot up the Connecticut school.
Correct.
You know, what's the name of the school? Newtown. Yeah, the Newtown school. And you know, like you just, you know, there were signs all along that was just ignored. You know, I think we just need to be more concerned. We need to be our brother's keeper. Like we start there. You know what I mean? You know, there is gang violence, and that's another conversation, because that also speaks to the lack of influence in the home.
In the family unit, the broken
Right.
family.
But it's a huge conversation. But we can't forget that that gun violence is only it didn't become a topic when it was black kids shooting black kids. It became more of a topic and a focal point when when people were going into these huge open spaces,
Correct.
and opening fire, like when people were going to institutions, being on the subway, and just, now it's a conversation because it's hitting a bigger demographic, but it's always been an issue.
So there's definitely there's a different dynamic between the cop violence to people of color.
Right.
There's a different dynamic between the people of color to people of color, or even the people that are not of color to the people
They got
of
some
color.
color, it's just not,
Yes,
yeah.
So there's so many different dynamics when it comes to gun violence. Then you add that mental health awareness piece.
Well, because anybody, whether they're a cop, whether they're a Crip, whether they're, just, the everyday person, what I mean, who one day just decides to flip out, they haven't been on their medication. Like, in order to decide that you're going to end the life of someone and you don't know them, you have no, there's got to be a mental illness.
Yeah.
Our cops are mentally ill, the ones who are doing this. The gang member, maybe he can use the fact that he doesn't have father influence, but to take somebody's life is such a permanent thing for like a temporary problem. You have you've had beef with this person, or they've taken it's so much deeper. It's so much deeper than just mental stability shows up in many forms. It's not just the person who goes into an elementary school.
Correct. After people listen to this song, what type of influence are you trying to, we hope that this song, Shots Fired, will have on these issues?
That's a good question. So Shots Fired was really just to share my story and my testimony. I do mention forgiveness, because there needs to be forgiveness given. When you think about the type of person that is capable of taking a life, when they take one life, they don't just take one life. When they take the life of that father, they take the life of that wife. They take the life of that child. They take the life of those parents. So many lives are attached to this one life. And so, in order for those who have died along with the victim to go on living, there needs to be forgiveness.
Correct.
Then, and if you remember me at all, if you're out there and you remember me at all, I've never had the chance to publicly address you, but I forgive you, because you just had no idea. You were living out of whatever limitations were happening in your life, whether whatever your experience, whatever limited knowledge you had of how you treat a person, or whatever pain, you were crying through those tears. You were crying your tears, and your tears happen to be hot slugs. But that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is, and we have to forgive if we're going to live any semblance of life. If I would have died, I would have wanted my mother to be able to let that person go, because it's that hatred that would have just gone on in her heart, for that person who ended my life, would have destroyed hers as well. And that's not what any surviving, that's not what any victim wants for the survivors of gun violence. It's just not. For those who have left behind. I wouldn't have want, this happened before my son, but had it happened past my son, I would not want my son to carry that. I would not want my son to carry that. I would want my son to live again through forgiveness, and forgiveness is the only way you can begin to live again.
Amen. Okay. So you want us all to carry that.
That would be my message. Forgiveness. That's my message for everything. Gun violence is one of the things that I've lived through, but I have so many other different things, and all of them come to a head at forgiveness. I cannot get away from it.
Oh wow. So how do they get in contact with you in the event they need you to come out and speak in reference to Shots Fired or any of your other compilations that you have?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, my name is Damion B. Sanders, and it'll probably appear here. So I might have to do some editing with that. It'll be in there by the time you see it. But my name is Damion, D-A-M-I-O-N, B. Sanders. And if you go into Instagram, you can follow me. Damion B. Sanders is the name. You'll see a handsome face. Probably wearing these same glasses. I think that's what I have on. You know, my number is you know, the number that my contact is all on my website, DamionBSanders.com. Just holla at me. I'm here. I'm here. I'm your brother. I'm here.
That's all, folks.
So, sis, thank you.
Of course.
I love you for this.
Now I'm in life in God hands. I shouldn't be here, but the Glock jam. Now I'm playing. Heard the shot blam sound like a pot slam. A G-shock that I ain't a fossil. Watch brands.